Would you ever eat government vaccines? Feed your family hormones or antibiotics? Never ever do that to your family. So why buy beef the same way you've always bought beef? You're buying meat glue bonded, hormone filled, antibiotic riddled grocery store meat. Say no to supermarket medicated Franken meats and say hello to nevereverbeef.club. Always 100% USDA prime or high choice. That's restaurant grade. Never Ever is not ever just select beef or even standard or ungraded store branded meat. It's simply the very best cut and tasting steak you have ever had. We have never ever given our herd hormones, antibiotics, or even mRNA vaccines. Never ever. Pure blood genetics. We've raised our herds this way for over 30 generations. They simply have never, ever had antibiotics, hormones, or killer vaccines. Grass-fed the way nature intended, in almost 500,000 acres of high pasture environments. Finished off with non-modified feed crops we grow ourselves. We even own our own 210,000 square foot processing plant. And as an added bonus for our nevereverbeef.club members, we age our steaks in our state-of-the-art 780,000 cubic foot aging facility. Only top restaurants do that, so they can charge you $100 or more for a little bitty steak. We age our meat because we want you to have the very best restaurant quality USDA prime or high choice, pure blood, purebred beef at a price your family can afford in these financially challenging times. Sure, you can keep paying the price for supermarket cheap, standard, and ungraded store meat brands if you love feeding your family Franken meat. So never ever settle for less. Join our nevereverbeef.club. Take control of your health and your family food supply right now. Join nevereverbeef.club. We are real people with real families just like you. So we personally customize your order right over the phone. Now that's customer service. And there is absolutely no obligation when we call. You decide what bundle is best for your needs. No hormones, antibiotics, or even mRNA vaccines. Never had them and never ever will. Never ever cut corners on your food supply or family's health. Join nevereverbeef.club now.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey, it's one of those times where we're going to do, you get to ask, I'll answer. You know, when I do these, people are saying, I want to try to drum up some of the haters. I like it when you talk to trolls. I like it when you talk to haters. So haters to the front of the line. This is what's called an open mic. It basically means, I got a few things I can talk about, but it basically means you get to direct the program if you so desire. You ask the questions. If there's things that over the last few weeks you want to know how things are going, what's going on, etc., this is the time we just get to have a conversation. So let's do it. Today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. That's why I partnered with the fine folks at Goldco. I'm just asking you to go to jovanlovesgold.com, request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver. I'm telling you, the digital dollar's coming. It's already being written into bills. They're already fighting over it, stuck like in a highway bill and stuff like that, like they typically do. Okay. You start thinking about the questions that have come up for you over the course of the last few weeks of anything I've talked about, whatever the case may be, and you literally just post them. Like, posted CPAC was a flop. And Trump knew. No, Trump because Trump didn't go because of people that were undermining him were the key speakers, Trump said, I'm not doing it, not when you're promoting these people. And that caused the flop. So, no, I'm not live, Joe. This is, again, the robotic me. I'm sleeping in the other room. Joe wanted to know. No, this is all brought to you exclusively by artificial intelligence. Anyway, okay. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a longer break to get started, meaning share this program in places where you know there are haters that hate me. Tell them to come on. It is their chance to rip me apart live. And then you ask your question as well. Let's get started.
You fight for free and fair elections. Invent and scan the ballots of kinematic artifact detection. You love to read and learn, travel and explore. You're a fearless, braveheart patriot who's opened doors. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior. You lead by God and always do what's right. In the battle for our nation, you lead the fight. We pray for your safety, the armor of God to protect you from all of us. Here's a thank you for all that you do. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior. Jovan, you're a hero we stand behind. We're inspired by the fire inside your eyes. American proud, we know you'll fight till your dying day. And we'll always stand behind you through everything. You are courage, you're our voice. Jovan, we thank you for what you're fighting for. You're our warrior. You are brave like a lion. You're David fighting Goliath, couldn't ask for more. You're our warrior. Think of what you've done for you, for me, for our country. You'll go down in history as our warrior.
Warning, the following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians, the elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd? Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, folks, this is called an open mic, even though I'm not sitting in the radio studio that would normally be call in. And of course, we're doing here by podcast, so you're here. So I get to put it on the screen and you can see it. I do this at different times just so we can catch up, talk. I can kind of see and hear what you want to talk about, right? And just to answer your questions. One, because we're all in this together. We're all affected by everything that happens out there, etc. Now, I've just grabbed a few random shots, and these things can be about anything. So you're welcome to put this in. As I see them, I'll clip them. I'll put them on the screen from the places I can't see them. If I'm on the platform, I can see them, right? Well, I'm able to put them on a screen. Slavovich. Peter Tickton spoke about the corrupted voter rolls being put out in Texas. Can you talk about it? Yes, that's actually something I can talk about. And the reason I can talk about it is because I initiated the various investigations where people started doing this. And I'll tell you what occurred. And I started teaching it 5 years ago. First off, Peter Tickton is one of President Trump's attorneys. He's also one of President Trump's best friends. They went to school together, military academy from forever. So I know Peter very well. I started teaching years ago that based on what we're seeing, I believe that when you look at the system ERIC, right, electronic registration information center or whatever it's called, how the gig really works on the voter rolls is they outsource the voter rolls to that company so people aren't on the inside seeing it. And it's just a small firm, a few people. It's ridiculous. But I've always maintained, and it has now been proven, there are two sets of voter rolls, two sets of books. I told you this, and now it has finally, people have worked smart enough following plans and have discovered it. Just paying attention. Basically, the way the rig works is nobody ever, I'll give you an example, just some things that are common if you have a technology mind. The little cards that they put into the tally machines or to transfer over ballot information and stuff. There's never been a protocol to check those cards before they're put in the machines. Now, why would you do that? Because the card can contain a program on it that wakes up only when the card goes into the machine. It does its work, and then it stops, And then when the card pulls out, boom, the software's gone. You can't see it. You can never see how it's done. And none of the software on the computer would support what you think are done. We don't check those cards. We never have. Nobody checks those cards. Also, when the cards, besides checking them before they're put into the machines before elections, when they're pulled out to transfer, nobody tests the card again to see what the data size is or how many records are in it. Why? Because when it gets back down to the counting centers, which is part of the rig, it should be checked again to know between transit, between first extraction from the machines to handing back in, is it the same card? They don't check for that. Not at all. Zero. Nada. So some things to me as a technologist are very important and very obvious. So let's talk about the voter rolls. We have always long suspected when we watch how this is done, there are two sets of voter rolls. When they really get their backs against the wall and somebody requests the voter roll or something happens, they do hand over that file. And in that file, you're going to find very few, but some errors. There's always going to be errors. It's not going to be perfect. However, you know what we don't do? We do not keep those voter rolls in trust. And so what happens is, even though the quote unquote county recorders, oh, we clean the voter rolls, we do this, they can give you a card for you to test or whatever, and you won't find anything. Okay? Then that doesn't mean that's what they printed the envelopes from or the ballots from at all. Nobody double checks that. And that list is handed back outside to people like Runbeck to supposedly print. Nobody checks that list. There's no systems to double check the data integrity. So you can work all day long and find a super clean, squeaky list, the second set of books, when this is really what runs the transaction, and they don't audit those. That's why I've always said, it's not new laws. That's horseshit. We don't have to go through the law process. It's the contracting process. All you have to do is get the contracts right. And those are contracts with vendors, and that's exactly what the county can do. Citizens can demand proper contract law and review, and you can fix that, but they don't. Now, luckily, some of the people paying attention to this process, finally, after all these years of beating it at people's heads, people kind of started paying attention, and lo and behold, they confirmed 2 sets of books. I've always told you, people, paper programs, it's the voter rolls, they're where we have to start first. There are 2 sets of books, period. Is that the machines that you melted prison bars? No, never has been, never will be. And so that's it, right? That's it. That's the truth. Where was that? Anyway, I think I already got rid of it. That's what that is. Got it? That's what that is. And so, yes, it's big, it's significant, but now you got a problem. 3,300 plus counties, 175,000 voting precincts, and you're going to have a hard time getting past GOP people. Well, that doesn't really happen here. We have good stuff. Well, we don't need to do that. We don't need to check that. Oh, that came from Jovan and his team. You know, he's a grifter. You got to fight all those fights. And so there's over 3,300 individual fights. And of course, with Lindell's team, don't mess with the voter rolls. It's sweeping a dirt floor. And their tour of bad advice. You scrap it once. You put it back in with new contractual rules with the right ever-present monitoring. Here's what you do. You're able to scrub out the crap. You're able to cut off everybody that's writing into it. You know, you got 1,000 plus places and writing into the voter roll saying you're going to add this, add this. When you shut it off, basically effectively change their password, They're out. I'll give you an example. I was working on a book, which I still have yet to finish because all of this happened in the election, but it was called Red Dawn 2.0 because everybody understands Red Dawn in the movie. And I was explaining how a lot of this stuff happens. In the technology world, I've witnessed, I've been made aware of horrific things. I'll give you an example. Think of the train hubs across our nation, train hubs, where trafficking takes place. And you see those little cement buildings, and there may be one truck there. Well, it's because in that hub is one person who's monitoring the network for the system on the rails. Okay? You can go to one of these little places in the United States and look at their system, the operators running, and you'll find 150 people monitoring supposedly from that station when there's only one person there. And so what you do, if you're doing this right, you do an expert reset. Everybody gets a brand new password, right? You notify them the system, we're sending you a new password, you got to log back in. Anybody that should have or could have had access. You dump the system, you bring it back online, you got one person. And none of the others pop back up. Why? Because they were all lurkers in the system for nefarious reasons. I even know of, even in our shipping lanes and shipping stuff, walking in to the big shipping companies' offices, having a conversation about how many people should be in the system. And there should be half a dozen people in their system. Say, do you realize there's 100 plus people in your system? No, they're not. You do still mount the system. You bring them back online. And then you also say, but we can also control your ship. You can't do that. We have all security in the world. It says, okay, we're about to do a very marginal right turn. And you turn the ship. And it's only at that time, sitting in executive offices, when they really realize you have control of the ship, that people really start to pay attention to these things, because they take everything for granted, and there's very few inspections, and there's too many leaks. It is no different in our elections. No different. And so when Mike did his crapping in the people cranium tour with people, told them, don't pay attention to the voter rolls. It's sweeping in a dirt floor. What could have happened was a shutdown, and it would have cut off everybody lurking in there that can keep on adding these back. Now, why do you want to do that? Because nobody kept track of it. Then when you bring the system back online, right? Okay, here comes the new system. Boom, we're going to use the roll. Then you begin a credentialing process, right? Of, okay, if you're actually allowed to add in voters or take out voters, which would be the county recorder, it credentials you. Well, all of a sudden, when somebody pops up to get their credential, you get to verify who they are. We have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people in our system, okay, that do not belong there, right? Do not belong there. And it happens non-stop. Now, let me point something out. Kaneki, I am so glad that I checked your link, because in my program, you're on Rumble, my program, when you post a link, you're instantly banned. I'm very happy that I decided to check it before I banned you forever, because there's no description there that you did, which is typically thing of a spammer. You posted a video that's appropriate. I'm going to let it stay there. But I ask everybody to respect the rules of the House. Do not post random links in my program. And if you do, please make sure it's program relevant and you give me a heads up. And you probably want to let me know first before you do it, because it will quickly get you booted from the program, because so many people try to do that in my programs. So try to honor that if you would. I'm not booting you because I see it's relevant, right? I think. Hang on. You know what? I think something tells me I better go further. Hang on 1 second. So I've actually met with Mr. LaRose there in Ohio. Anyway, okay. So just so you know, Troy, please don't post random links without good restriction. Give me a heads up. Just give me a heads up, even if it's something that complements the program, right? Because we have so much spammers and stuff try to reach the audience. Watch my show, please. Yes, I do the American Upside Down Canning Basket Weaving Program, and I think you'll like it. Thank you very much. Okay. Next one. Ready? Artistic says, do you think Donald J. Trump should concentrate on the midterms now and focus there? Get out of the Iran thing soon, and he has given them 10 days. Okay. We are not at war with Iran. War has not been declared on Iran. This has been going on for many presidencies. The only difference is President Trump had the balls to push back on it. That's all that's going on. People that are trying to divide the party are trying to divide it as is. We're at war again. Bullshit. We're cleaning up an operation that's funding terrorists and is the financial lines for the people they've placed already in our country. Don't let Bannon or any of these other people that are trying to divide MAGA steer you wrong. Period. Period. It's cutting off the financial head of terrorism. It is multi-country that's helping it happen. United States will always get attacked for it for the left. Donald Trump will get attacked for the left. And here's how it goes. If Donald Trump got out today and he literally went over to Israel and walked on water, freaking walked on water, the news headlines tomorrow will be, we have proof Donald J. Trump can't swim. Don't fall for it. And also don't fall for it with war. This is a policing action. This is a protection against terrorist action. This is not a war. But those terrorists have been let in our borders. Those weapons that were left over in Afghanistan have shown up in Mexico and crossed our borders and are being staged here, funded from there, and they're cutting off, right? They're cutting off, okay? Cutting off the money. That is what is going on, period. Of a place that all of our prior administrations swore they didn't have nuke abilities. It was a lie. They did, and everything could be enriched in a moment's notice and take things out. That's it. Oh, yeah, the other headline. Donald J. Trump seen harming fish in the Mediterranean. Donald J. Trump seen blocking sunlight from reaching the waters below. That's just the way it is, okay? And by the way, if you're going to post and chat, have something to say, whatever. Post, just and try to post reasonable so everybody can understand it. That's it. I mean, come on, that's how this stuff works. It's a game, it's a racket, it's bullshit, and right now they're trying to divide us. I want you to understand that they're trying to divide us intentionally. That is why you saw CPAC fail. Bit says, will Trump do an EO on election integrity since Save the Act is bombing? He has already done several EOs on election integrity. You have to understand how the law works, and so many people don't. And they assign magical powers to a president, and that's just not how it works, okay? An executive order is only within the realm that the president can control. When it comes to elections, the president can only control the federal component of the election, federal issues, presidential vote, Senate vote, at the federal level. Remember, I have state senators. All the states are totally separate. So just because President Trump signs an executive order doesn't mean the state will do it. Because on anything state, they're going to make up their own mind. And so you got to ask yourself, if we got 7 rat bastard states that just want to do all of this, right? They're not going to do it because, and they will have grounds not to do it because he can only do a federal order. Now, here's where the subtle complication arises. We used to have presidential election, the people to DC election. They were not combined with the state elections at all. Over time, they got pushed together, and that's what created a binding effect of making things hard to enforce. The president can say you cannot use a mail-in ballot in a federal election, which he's done. Okay. You can't mail them out, et cetera, do all these different things. And if we still had federal elections, it would be allowed to do that. But we don't still have federal elections. We have state and federal. And so even if he said split it out, it means dividing the system, and they'll claim we can't do it. We don't have enough people. It'll create a hardship, which will throw it all in court and it'll never get done. That's what the system did. It's all about roadblocks. I personally think it would be very good to separate them. Period. Very good. Because, let me tell you why. If we went and re-separated them, and we had the federal election and we had the state election, there's not a single thing a single state official can say about we're going to audit the federal election. They'd have no control. And they know that. And that's how this is done. That's how they do it. J Squirrel, what books do you recommend for collecting and storing water that has run off your house and other structures when it rains? Good question. A lot of people go into a homestead, and then you've got places like Oregon that basically say if you collect water off your roof, you're harming the environment because it needs to run to the ground. Although 97% of our water runs to the ocean. As a number, it's highwayed out to the ocean. Gullies, rivers, etc., they'll run to the ocean. So they're doing that just so you can't support yourself. It's just like Virginia right now. Is it Franklin County? They're trying to outlaw homesteading. Here, I posted a video yesterday. Let me see if I can find it for you. I'll show you a quick video of some of the things they do. Let's see here. Wait. No, here, I'm going to show you 2 quick videos. I decided to ramp it up a bit to, got to get my eyeballs on. Hang on. I can't see. Let me see what the hell did I do with it? Oh, I know where I did with it. It's got to be over here. I'm going to show you 2 videos that'll help you out. Here you go. Let me put these 2 in. We are in a system where they have people in and they rely on people not paying attention. And they're always sneaking stuff in. That's only design, only intent is to destroy our ability to survive or to take out our independence but get more money from us. Here's one. I'm going to just show you two real quick. Let me get this off the screen. Here, check this out.
Your HOA fines you $50 daily for hanging laundry outside, but allows gas-powered leaf blowers every weekend. Here's why they want you dependent. From colonial America through the 1980s, every backyard had clotheslines. Your grandmother dried clothes naturally, saved hundreds annually, and produced zero emissions. Then HOAs spread nationwide, claiming clotheslines lowered property values. They convinced homeowners that natural drying was inferior to burning coal through electric grids. Local control disappeared the same way food sovereignty did. Corporate restrictions replaced household independence. And here's who profited. Appliance manufacturers like Whirlpool and GE, alongside utility companies, needed guaranteed electricity consumption. Forcing dryer dependence meant every household burned $300 annually in extra energy costs, while HOAs collected compliance fees. 30 states passed right-to-dry laws because corporate capture criminalized basic efficiency.
It's, you just got to understand, it's very subtle. Most people never knew that. And the HOA can fine you $50 a day. They don't even have to tell you, because suppose you're supposed to read the rules. You can't not pay it. And they can actually repossess your home over it. Now, that was a conjunction of corporate America, people's moving into cities, and they got homeowners associations to write these laws, and it's gone. Most people, it never even occurred to you, but it sold you an appliance and put you more in the bill. I'm going to give you an example. Two things happened to me at my home in Frisco, Texas. In my backyard, I built my precious son, while he was small, a half-hulled pirate ship. Half-hulled, right? So you see half of the hull, and then it's got the rails, it's got the plank, it's got the rope ladder, and you can go into the hull of the ship and come up through a little hatch up top, and you're the master of your own ship. Because my son was fascinated with Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Sense of adventure. And on his little ship, in the backyard, which only went to an alley, and then other houses on their side, was his pirate flag. Pirate flag. I get a notice one day that pirate flag must be taken down. It's not an approved flag. Now, this is a kid's toy. I didn't pay attention. Said, right? About the same time, I had on the front of my house, where you, side of your doors, where you have your little, you can hang your little community flags, right? I had an American flag and the flag of Israel. I was told I must take down the flag of Israel. I said, screw you. Thinking, how can they do that? I never thought much about it. But it occurred fines of about $250 a day. Then finally, I get a collection bill for thousands of dollars from a law firm for non-payment of the fines. I'm going, what is this? I told them, this is horseshit. Well, it's the rules. You quickly find out that for those thousands of dollars, the first thing they do is file a lien against your house. So it's going to be paid one way or another, and it gets to keep rolling. And the only way to stop it being added at the rate of $250 a day, and I brought in legal teams and everything, I had to pay it. I had no option, because they can then, when it gets to a certain amount, force you out of your house and foreclose on it. That's a homeowners association. So in some of these states, right, What they didn't like, somebody behind the house didn't like pirate flag, and then somebody like Israel, you can't have that. That's how much power these places have. And so when it comes to rainwater, they're writing laws right now to prevent that. I showed you that one. Let me show you another one, and then I'll answer the rainwater question. Let me show you this one.
Michigan made heritage pigs illegal and ordered farmers to destroy them while industrial pork operations posted record profits. Here's why that's not an accident. In 2012, Michigan's invasive species order declared heritage breeds like Mangalitsa and red wattle invasive based on physical traits like curly hair and floppy ears. Farmers faced criminal charges if they didn't eliminate livestock within 90 days. Mark Baker of Baker's Green Acres fought in court while others destroyed their heritage breeding stock. These breeds produce superior pork with higher fat content that industrial operations can't replicate. And here's who wanted them banned. Smithfield and Hormel raise only 3 commercial breeds designed for factory efficiency, not quality. The order eliminated heritage competition while claiming environmental protection. Today, 95% of pig breeds from 1900 are extinct.
Think about that. Had nothing to do with the facts. It was just manipulating a system so that the pork came from the pork producers, not your own sovereign right to do it. And this is heating up all over. Now, when it comes to rainwater, Jay, there's not any one book to buy that I think covers everything. But the good thing about it is the internet and states, you can actually look at the state of Texas. I don't know where you are. The state of Texas has a download package on how to collect rainwater on your property. Now, technically, it falls from heaven onto your property. It is your property. Oregon decided, no, it's the state's property. It is very smart to collect the rainwater right off of the top of your houses, your barns, and everything else. The information's free out there. I got obsessed with water in the late 90s. And through like 98, 99 to 2000, 2001, I ended up building and executing and developing the single largest rainwater collection system in North America. It becomes obsessive when you understand it, and when you understand that all the subsidies stuff for water are ridiculous. And in the future, what's going to be fought over is water wars. I just want you to understand you should avail yourself of learning about water and what you should do and what your rights are in it in your state. And if you can, set up a rainwater collection system as fast as you can. The reason is, as states will begin to try to ban this stuff, if you're already there, they have to grandfather you in. So don't wait too late. You should think about it. It's really not hard. And there's water just so you can have water for your garden and you're not using it off your filter and not paying from the city water or whatever. I'm trying to stay focused on this program. So imagine instead of pulling it through the metered system, which they want you to do, but they're claiming water's scarce and running out. I want you to know, we do not have a water problem in our country. I want you to understand that. It's all a sham. We have a water wisdom problem. And it's because we've trained our water to become tainted and immediately run directly to the ocean. Do you know how that happened? Put it in chat. How do you think that happened, right? Yes, Vern, in most places, if you have a barrel tied in, you'll be grandfathered. Here's what happened, okay? Hang on, Vern, there's many levels here, and here's what I'm talking about. Be careful with rainwater because your roof makes it toxic. Yes and no, no and yes. And maybe one day I'll do a full program just on collecting rainwater. But as we concreted our nation, roads, highways, etc., we have escorted water not going down into our recharge zones, but escorted out to the canals and ditches, which eventually go right to the ocean. One. Now, for me personally, I hate municipal water. Yeah, storm drains. I hate municipal water. Why? The reason I hate municipal water is because your municipal water is where the guys hang out on the corner of the street wanting day jobs, spit, etc. It all runs down the street, goes into government's recharged, and just gets cleaned up. Most people don't even know that in most cities, the sewage treatment plants separate out the water and send it back through. If you live in a city, just follow a raindrop. Start at your local gas station. Forget even the fluoride and crap in it. Over every piece of ground you would not dare bend over and stick your tongue to. You're doing it every day if you're in a municipal water system. It's just it. It's just the truth. There you go. All of them. They're claiming a water problem and they want to recycle the sewage. Now, the problem with this, and I'll use this one as an example. Did you know there's no security systems on that? Our big water supplies in the cities are vulnerable. They look for certain things that are from the bacteria stuff. They don't look for weapons of war that can be dropped into our water supplies and wipe out a whole system. There is no system that exists to check for that. None. Zero. Right? Zero. I don't do this. All your medications go to the water already through people's urine, piss, and everything else. All hospital water waste is separated out, gets cleaned up, goes back through the system. I don't do municipal water. It's the nastiest stuff in the world. Sorry, but it's the truth. And so that's part of why you want to get away. If you can get out and you can get, right, on a well or collect from your house. Now, speaking of your house, people used to say, well, it's acid rain. Remember when we had acid rain? We watched the raindrop hit this spot for 2 million years and it ate it. Bullshit. That's what helped what this climate stuff came in. So you do what's called a pre-wash in it. So let me tell you how this works. So you got your gutter running on the top of the house, and then I'm going to get off rainwater. You got your gutter running off the top of the house. Go download the State of Texas Rainwater Collection Program. I'll teach you how to do it. Great videos on YouTube. Be careful, it becomes an obsession. It's a commodity. It's valuable. For me, with a massive log cabin home, which you know, if you have a log cabin home, your insurance prices can go through the roof, right? When I started collecting rainwater, and then I got tipped off that because I have a log cabin family home, the insurance prices are higher. I dug a new little pond right out front the one driveway so rain could fill it up. Did a great pond, couple 100,000 gallons of water. And then I had my whole rainwater system. I went and bought one pump connector. I bought a pump and a connector. And it's the pump and connector that the local volunteer fire department uses. And I dropped that in line. And immediately I became my own fire station, where they just have to show up and they jack into my own water system, and my insurance would drop down the roof because I qualified as my own fire station recharge. You can do these things. Anyway. Yeah, the manual's posted. Thank you, Crystal. Manual's posted over. And remember, if you want it, it's posted here now. You can see it. That's the manual. Just follow the manual. But I'll go back to Vern's thing. If you imagine your gutters coming off the house, okay? Now, why they say the roof is toxic is, one, if you have an asphalt roof, right? Tar roof, it could technically be toxic. But you got to understand how you do rainwater. So when it's coming down your gutter, and then you've got a downspout, right? And your downspout's going to run to some sort of barrel. What you do is you hijack the downspout just for a moment. So imagine here's your gutter, and then it comes down. Before you put it in your tank, you basically do a coupler, and you get you a long piece of pipe, okay, that goes almost to the ground. Long piece of pipe. So the first thing that happens in that long piece of pipe that goes to the ground, on the bottom of the pipe, you put a screw-on cap, and in your screw-on cap, you poke a few holes so it will drip. Now you go back up that pipe, but about a foot or 2 foot from where you connect it in, and then you put the secondary coupler, and now that goes out to your tank. Here's what happens. When it rains, the water comes, it goes down that whole spout first, which might hold 20 gallons of water or more. It's 660 gallons per inch per 1,000 feet of square roof you have. 660 gallons per inch of rain for every 1,000 feet you have. So if you're in a 10-inch rain area, that 10-inch rain is going to generate 6,660 gallons for you. Now, what happens is when that water runs down, that first 50 gallons goes down in that. So all the sediment, if there's any bird poo or whatever, it washes into that trap. The heavy particulates, physics separate it out. And as that water rises, it's cleaner. And when it hits the top of the trap, that's what goes in your tank. It's a sediment trap, but that it's basically a roof wash. And so your roof got washed first. It's very easy. And you can learn these things. But yes, everybody should learn rainwater collection. You can also take, if you can get a hold of the polypropylene tanks, you know, the black rainwater tanks, you can take one of them, especially the smaller skinny ones. You can literally take those tanks, and in that tank, you have a connector at the bottom where the water comes out, and you can put river water, pond water, whatever in it. But what you do in that tank is pea gravel, sand, carbon, pea gravel, sand, carbon, pea gravel, sand, carbon, in smaller filters. And then you do them in wider bands, and then you put the top third basically sand. It's the same thing as a river. And so when the water, you can take that river water in, and as that comes in and it soaks down to the sand, and it soaks down all the way through that, right? It's a natural filtration system. What comes out on the other end is crystal clear and clean. I always put a UV on it, and you want to keep your water alive. Water is a living thing. That's why a stagnant pond creates moss. It's not living. And so if you have multiple tanks in line, you put a little connector to them all to come out to one main line. And in your first tank, you use a little bitty solar pump, just a solar pump, very low volume pump. And that little pump pumps water to the end tank and puts it back in. Since all the tanks are connected, they're always level. But what you're doing is you're doing a very slow run, and it's going in the end. It's pushing water forward through all your tanks, and you keep your water living. because it's constantly moving like a river. You don't just put it in there. I could go on forever. Maybe I'll do a program on it. I'm sorry. Okay, let me show you a few things, right? Let me show you something. Hang on one second. Where's my balls? Okay. Let's go here. Let's go here. And yeah, okay. And by the way, I've got something at the end, which is beautiful and a tearjerker. It's going to yank your emotions. But anyway, take a look at this German church built in the early to mid 1700s. Man has such great skills. Look at this. Is that not beautiful? Is that not just absolutely stunning? I love that. Hey, by the way, have you noticed how people are in all this Israel stuff are coming back to the Bible and quoting verses and stuff? You've been noticing that going on. Here, check this out.
Did you know the Bible says we can't wear pink? It's true. Matthew 28:23. Therefore, I will know who follows me faithfully. Only the wicked will drape themselves in Ra's garments. What does Ra's mean in Greek? It means the color pink.
Now, have y'all heard this going around the internet? That basically pink, and you see all the pink hair and the pink hats, is actually a sign of not being a worshiper or anything? Yeah. It's spreading like wildfire.
Did you know the Bible says we can't wear pink? It's true. Matthew 28:23. Therefore, I will know who follows me faithfully. Only the wicked will drape themselves in Ra's garments. What does Ra's mean in Greek? It means the color pink. And this really matters, and I'll tell you why. It's not important. It doesn't matter. Matthew 28:23 is not even in the Bible. It's not a real verse. This is just your daily reminder that you don't know when you're being lied to if you don't know the truth. It's not to offend anybody. It's just, we need to remember that. Read your Bible. That's it.
Everything I tell you, do your own homework, but this became a thing. That's how bad it is with people, right? People, you like her voice, and she's tiny, and she's cute, and sweats come off fast. Import ant. Anyway, that is how, right? Think about this. That is how people will hear these things, and they do, and they're all total bullshit. It's just like right now, there's a video going around of a beautiful blonde IDF soldier stomping on a Muslim's chest. Stomping her. It's all AI. And that's why I say you have to, right? What did I do? Oh, crap. Hang on. Did I do that? Wait. You have to investigate things for yourself, right? You have to, in many of this, investigate things for yourself. It's just required. It's just required. Now, a lot of this has to do with parenting. Do you agree? Has to do with parenting. You're either a good parent or a bad parent. Check this parenting skill out. This is the bomb.
We just had a brand new baby calf born.
Cool! Can I come see it?
Yeah, you can come look at it here in a minute.
I'm by the red barn.
We're down inside the barn here in pen 6.
Okay.
Kids rise to the level of responsibility that you give them. Look at this kid. He's driving a $100,000 tractor like it's no big deal. I'm sure the first time his dad threw him in that tractor to drive it by himself, he panicked and freaked out. But now, he handles it like a pro. And when you're operating such a large and powerful vehicle, it comes with safety concerns and risks, and that's where the responsibility comes into play. But this right here is exactly how to raise capable kids.
Capable kids, right? Capable kids. That's what we need to start raising. And yeah, most people don't understand. When you see a home and you might see that Ferrari or whatever, it's a $100,000 vehicle. When you see that home and you see the cab John Deere tractor and stuff, that's a $100,000 vehicle. Only one of them makes you money. Right? Isn't that, yeah, you should be teaching your kids stuff. Let me show you another one on teaching. Check out this teaching, then tell me what you think.
We were just talking about Reconciliation Week, and what did you say, Evie?
Mommy said that I was the white people and I didn't want to.
Don't want to be the white people.
And I want to be the brown skin people.
Yeah, but we're trying to make it better, aren't we?
Yeah, and the white people took everything away, like children, babies, like that.
Away from them,
Away
from the Aboriginal people.
yeah.
But now reconciliation is about making friends and trying to fix it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah, well, I'm still upset about that white skin.
Yeah. Well, we didn't do it. It was the people before us. But I understand what you mean.
Yeah, that's all I want to say.
She doesn't want to be a white person any longer. How do you like that bit of parroting? Think about that. Think about that poor child thinking that a kid's mind's ready to learn, and she is basically told those things happened because of a skin color. Because of a skin color. And that precious, beautiful little girl looks in the mirror every day thinking she's been born into evil. Is that not disgusting? Is that not just absolutely disgusting? Right? Period. Period. Yes, it's irresponsible. It's totally irresponsible. So we did emergency order on infrastructure, KJ. You got to understand, emergency order and infrastructure being part of infrastructure yet. I don't have, you're seeing certain things happen, and you're seeing things having to run their course. And you're seeing certain things be deployed and done. But the most effective is not blurting it out and hearing it is. You just got to hit them with it. That's about really all I can offer on that one, right? That's about really all I can offer on that one. Hey, let me show you a new training today by the American Pediatrics Society. I got a hold of a new training video. Check this out.
I'm a lesbian. Everybody knows. I'm in a relationship with a girl, Mary. So it's all good.
So tell me about your relationship.
We've been friends for years. She's a great student. We're looking at colleges together with both sets of our parents.
It sounds like you and Mary have a great relationship. So different terms mean different things to different people. So tell me, what does the term lesbian mean for you?
It means that I'm attracted to women, It's probably more emotional. I feel like I'm emotionally close with my female partners, and I didn't feel that way when I was dating boys.
And are the two of you sexually active?
Yeah, we are.
So being sexually active can mean different things to different individuals. So tell me what body parts you and Mary are using.
Well, I use my vagina, and Mary uses her penis.
So is Mary transgender?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. A lot of people don't know. I mean, I'm fine with it. I really do love her.
That's great. Now tell me what you and Mary are doing about birth control.
Well, I was on the pill, but I'm not anymore since I was told I don't have to be since I'm a lesbian. So Mary and I have talked about that, and right now she's on estrogen pills, so it's kind of hard for her to have sex when we do use a condom.
Different definitions mean different things. Can you imagine that with your doctor? You go in, you need your testicles checked. Your left testicle, instead of being ovid, it's ovid, but it has this weird knot on the right of it, otherwise known as cancer. You go into the doctor, and the doctor says, well, these definitions could be different things for different people. What do you think it means to you? Can you imagine a healthcare system like that? Now, granted, when I watch that, I can relate. I'm a lesbian too. I admit it. I am deeply into chicks. So I guess that makes me a lesbian. This is evil. That whole conversation is 100% a denial of God and how God made us. Ma'am, you have testicular cancer. Can you imagine those conversations go on? JSAC says, has a lesbian trapped in a man's body? Well, quit sticking them up your ass. Pull them out. You won't have one trapped in your body. Jeez, that's easy to solve medically. Do you understand this is a denial of truth and a denial of the truth of God? That's all this is. That's what every bit of it is. Destroys faith. God was wrong, put you in the wrong body. Glenn's laughing at that joke. He obviously tried to shove a lesbian up his ass too. Do you know why you don't shove a lesbian up your ass, especially in the shower? Ask Kitty. When I tried to do it, I broke her fucking leg. We have proof. We have all the scars and the hospital stuff. Ask Kitty. She knows. That's somebody in chat, by the way, who broke her leg in the shower while listening to and watching the program in the shower, while in a lesbian way lathering herself down, but thinking of me. And then it shocked her, and she fell and broke her thigh. Right, Kitty? Never try to shove a lesbian up your ass. Yep. So don't be the guy with a lesbian in your body. I'm just telling you. Yeah, she broke her femur. True story. Ouch. Anyway, somebody asked, okay, Jovan, you say that evil has to, and I can't find it now because chat's going by so fast. I only got 2 more pieces for you. See? Even Henry says we love Kitty. See? You're a lesbian. She's a lesbian and you love the kitty. You're a lesbian, Henry. Joe wants to know, does she pee standing up? Only in the shower if I ask her to. I gotta stop. Anyway, Denise says, true story. Somebody asked, Jovan, where do you get that evil has to tell you And I would give you credit on the screen. If you want to repost it real quick and Rumble where you did it, I'll give you credit for it on the screen. I just can't find it. My chat went by too fast. Okay. Be all that you can't be. That's the trans recruiting song. Joe says, I knew something was up with Henry. No, you knew something was up in Henry. Somebody asked, okay, Jovan, you talk about that evil has to tell you what they're going to do. And if you don't push back on it as humans, that we're giving evil permission. That we're giving evil permission. Now, first thing I want to know is one of the things I want for anybody watching my program is I just want you to be true and authentic. Live to your words. KJ, could you send me a picture just to prove it? I just felt the need to do a fact check, right? And she brings me to the shower and have to watch you on replay. It's not that I'm challenging you or anything, but would you please send me proof? Who's that? One more real quick. Hold on. And I'm glad you brought this up because we're going to do it. And I'm just going to remind folks, I'm trying to figure out the execution of it all. I've got several new books in the works. I always have new books in the work. But some of the books I have is a series I'm doing called Eating Ancient. Back at the times before we had all these processed foods and bullshit, right? And all that crap. Yeah, like you can look at a picture of us all in the 70s. We're super thin. And then look at us now, right? What our food's done to us. So I went way back in time for every major discipline. Greek, Chinese, you name it, Incan, Roman, and collected the oldest recipes in the world. Super, super, super old recipes. And I'm got a series. All the research has been done. It's just now plotting it, getting done, deciding on the art of the book and all this other stuff, right? And I have said on one of these, what I'd like to do is I'm going to put out a recipe. And then we'll pick a date, 1 week, 2 weeks in the future. You gather your stuff, right? You gather your stuff. And then I'll do a program. I have the ability to bring 10 feeds into my program. So I can put 10 feeds of people in my program with me. And let's all cook it together. Let's do it all in real time, right? Let's do it all in real time. And then we'll have dinner together. There's a lot of people following, don't want to be on camera. Do it. And let's all do it in real time. And let's have a virtual dinner together. All of us cooking the same dinner. Broadcast. I just think that was great. And that's why Slavovich says, when are we going to do a live stream cook show? And I'm going to do it. I swear I'm going to do it. And we're going to have absolute fun doing it. I think it would be a great thing to do, but you'll get the recipe. You'll get, here's where you get the ingredients or whatever, and we'll kind of plan for it. Right. Gabe's great. KJ isn't the only one who takes Jovan to the shower. Wow. Prove it. Well, we chew with your mouth open. It's okay, Joe. You do a lot of things with your mouth open. I don't begrudge you that. But I think we should have a dinner together. Wouldn't that be fun? I think that'd be fun. So let me answer this question. Did whoever put it in there, I'm gonna answer this question for you. Because I always say evil must broadcast what they're going to do. And when we don't push back, it says we all got to wear aprons only. I can't. I'll trip all over myself. Anyway, the way this goes is evil always tells you their intent. that broadcast it. And in evil's intent, if you do not push back, you're basically giving evil permission. Now, this is truly something that is even older than the written word. Some people will say this is a cult. KJ say, am I cheating on you? KJ, hang on I just got to answer this because we were talking about KJ in the shower. KJ, it's all about, and this is just so important. I got to tell you, KJ says, because we were talking about she takes me to the shower. Now everybody's saying they take me. They're not the only ones. KJ, I'm not cheating on you. Okay. See, what I'm doing is I'm easing you into being in the shower with me and several other women. So you got to understand, this is only a training program. So I'm slowly easing you into it. And then we'll begin connecting feeds and then meeting, right? So it's not cheating. I'm just expanding your horizons. Okay. When it comes to this theory that evil always has to tell you what they're going to do in advance, and if you don't push back on it, that we're approving it. We're letting evil in our life. And by the way, what you're watching today, folks, is just open mic, right? Yeah. You ask, I'll answer. Okay. You ask, I'll answer. Okay. And one of the questions were, Jovan, you keep on saying that evil has to say what it's going to do. And if we don't push back, we're giving evil permission. And yeah, that quote is evil only exists when good men do nothing. It's kind of like that. But let me explain to where this comes from. It is oral tradition and nature, right? Jovan, what is your authority for saying evil must tell you what is going to do before doing it? Thank you. I appreciate that. It got reposted. If you want to look this up, and unfortunately in modern times, it's been considered, a cult or whatever, etc. It's not. It comes from if you wanted to look at one discipline, it's called the revelation of the method, is what it's called. You can look it up yourself. The revelation of the method. Okay. And the revelation of the method, which unfortunately, because Christians are saying, well, it was oral tradition, it's not in the Bible, it can be conspiracy or occult framework. Put that aside. It is a long, ongoing, wise oral tradition that this happens. And people just aren't attuned to the signs. Just like people says, well, I thought he was a good, quiet neighbor. But there was this one time, right? This one time he murdered all those girls. Right? You've seen those things. And so it's called the revelation of method, and then that's how it works. Now, there were many books written on it. There was a fellow by name of Michael A. Hoffman II. I don't know why he didn't want to be called Junior, but it's more official, second. And this is actually, even in modern times, this is so well studied and known. It is actually part of psychological warfare. Now, oral traditions call it making manifest of all that is hidden. That's where it comes from. Because it's all about clues that are hidden in plain sight. But you have to understand that, and really, even in books or movies, oddly very specific fiction. Right? By the way, if you want to understand some of this, 2 movies I'll recommend to you. 2 movies. One's a documentary. It's called The Long Rider. It's about a young kid. and he rides horseback from British Columbia down Canada, down the United States of America, down Mexico, down South America, and all the little countries to finally get to Brazil, where his family home was. And if you want to just see a story of finding God, although that's not what it's about, I would recommend you watch that. If you want to see what we're going through right now and understand it in a deeper way, on a horse. Yeah, he rode it all on a horse. There's a exploration technique called long riders. It's a discipline. You're going to ride at least 1,000 miles. He rode 8,000 miles. The guy he modeled himself after is a rider that did 10,000 miles. And this young kid has now gone on. He's broken the 10,000 miles. Okay. Anyway, the other movie I would recommend to you that God works in mysterious ways and that everything happens for a reason, that you might not be able to see it, but always angels and demons are fighting over us, is the movie Legion. It's a movie, older movie. When I say older, about 20 years. But you should watch the movie Legion. It's a horror movie without being a horror movie kind of thing. But if you want to understand how a liberal can become a brain dead zombie to the point they're like, it's called Legion, like legions of angels, legions. How people can become brain dead and be used for evil and they don't even know it. Here it is. Legion is the movie. You should watch that one again. Anyway, in this clues in plain sight, part of it in psychological warfare is media plots, etc., etc. It is this tactic is so well known that even CIAs and others and stuff, they are Legion and The Long Ride. Long Ride's a documentary, Legion's a movie. That's why, like, movies and stuff are always seeded. Just like they did that movie. It's not Long Rider, it's The Long Rider documentary, not the movie, documentary, The Long Rider. It's why movies, like they put out that crap just before the election, Civil War. There's a lot of this goes on, signaling and whatever. And basically, it goes off the ancient knowledge of what's called symbolic disclosure, right? And yes, in the Bible, demons always reveal themselves as what? As what? We, they, and them. I want you to think about that. That's why I recommended the movie Legion to you, even if you're not into that specific movie. If you take our culture right now, what we're going through, and I've always told you this is a war of wars. And when you know in the Bible, it says they always reveal themselves as we, they, them. Always. Always. It's biblical. And then you understand what's going on in our culture. And then you kind of watch this. Yeah, demons have pronouns. It's biblical. Then you watch this movie Legion. You watch what happens to the people. And you watch what Archangel Michael says, right? Michael says, what happened to these people and why it happened to them. See if you catch that. So phenomenal. Anyway, in this predictive thing, basically what happens and how it esoterically works, evil always tells you, evil always tells you, evil always tells you. It's a prepping process. They tell you so long, and they tell you in such subtle ways, okay, that you hear it first and it kind of shocks you. And then you basically say, oh, that's just the way they are, right? That's just the way they are. That you begin thinking you're not hearing it, although you are hearing it. And what this produces psychologically is called a non-resistance as submission, right? Non-resistance as submission. And basically what it creates is symbolic and or psychological surrender. And that's 70%. I would say 90%. That's 90% of the war. 90% of the war. And what evil does is evil has to get you to that point that you tune it out. Oh, it's no big deal. Don't worry about that. You keep on hearing it. It becomes normalized. That when it hits, what it does is it throws your mind into a conflict. And what do? This can't be happening. No, that's not what this is. And instantly what happens psychologically is your mind breaks. See, because you've already poo-pooed it. You've already put it out of your mind. You've already discounted. That's just a fucking conspiracy. And then it happens. Bang. Well, see, you already surrendered. And so instead of getting instantly in the fight mode to defend, that's why I say when you hear it, you push back then. When you hear it, you push back then. The way to keep it from coming in is you immediately stand your ground and you throw it back at them. But if it keeps on doing this, when that time comes, you hesitate. What? This can't be. And that's in the moment you get killed. That's how it works. In that moment, that hesitation is enough time to draw the sword and slay you before you know what happened. It is a massive rule of war. It is part of psychological warfare. It's been talked about in time immemorial. It comes from, history and law and theology, etc. People tried to push it off to the occult. And that was when people said, well, you can't do that. That's the occult. That's evil. And other people tried to minimize it because they don't want you to know it happens. And some people will just dismiss it to finding patterns after the fact. See, that's what they want. They only want you to recognize it after the fact. After the fact. Because what they've done is they've diverted your selective attention. Okay? And so if you really want to dive into it, where it comes from, it's called the revelation of the method. It means those in power reveal their intentions in a veiled form before carrying them out. Public failure object to be interpreted has psychological acquiescence, and you get conquered. Decentralization, it creates decentralization and control. It gets pushed into the occult so much in current mainstream because it is so biblical in nature. Right? And it's just, the only way I can explain it, it's just something that's known. It's just something that's known. What happened? I really don't know what to say other than that. You kind of have to dive in it to understand it. And I try to, and the reason you're only seeing that after the fact. That's why I warn you before the fact. No, don't fall into the trap of after the fact. Look at it now. Understand what they're doing. Understand how they're setting this up. Understand how this manifests, and even the Bible will teach you that evil manifests through deception, signs, and false appearances. The Bible tells you that. It's the hidden things, right? And actually what we're doing in talking about this, which God talks about, is to expose hidden things, right? Truth exposes the things that are hidden, that are evil, right? It's happened many times in the Bible. It's Ephesians 5:11, which basically says to expose the works of darkness. That's why you got to expose it for what it is. It's in 2 Corinthians 11:14. That's and it's specific. And now this is very important because you got to understand how this Islam stuff and you're always warned about false prophets, and they do it through deception. That's in Matthew 24. Paul also says in 2 Corinthians 11:14 and tells you Satan disguises himself as an angel. Now that's incredibly important when you understand the Islam part, which is why I'm doing the Islam series. That comes in super critical of it. It's always Satan's direct hand disguised as angel. That's why I told you it's not horns and brimstone and fire and all this evil stuff. It literally looks as the most beautiful. And by the way, you will see this also in the movie Legions, right? Ephesians 5 talked of Luke 8:17, right? Is where God exposes hidden things. Ephesians 5:11 says you must expose the work of darkness. Amos 3:7 says the Lord reveals his plans to his servants and prophets. And this is the God warning that no demonic, this is God warning people about demonic powers and how some of this happens. It's all about discernment. Hosea 4:6 says the reason you're going to be destroyed is you're going to be destroyed because of lack of knowledge. 1 Peter 5-8 says you've got to stay sober and watchful. That for me, that's be clear and be watchful. Luke 8:17 is to watch, right? Hidden things will be brought to light. 2 Thessalonians 2:9 through 12, strong delusions, false wonders. And Matthew 24:4-5, and then 11, and then 24, deception using false signs. This is what it is. This is what it is. A good analogy is, and I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to put it in chat before I show you my last little thing. Ready? Ready? I'm going to ask you a question. Is Islam the religion of peace? Put it in chat. Is Islam the religion of peace? When did, right? When did it become prevalent? All of you say it's a religion of subjugation, right? It never was peaceful, etc. Right? There's when it was said, and then there's when it became popular. Right? There's when it was said and when it became popular. When did Islam become the religion of peace? Somebody said 700 AD. That's about the time it was written. Somebody says, Hawaii says 1200s. Okay, you ready? Basically, it was put into in a book in 1967. And it was called Practical Islam, the Religion of Peace and Its Basic Tenets by Sine Lebi Mohammed. That is the earliest documented talking about the religion of peace. Okay? There is another book, ironically in 1976, called Islam, the Religion of Peace by Qadwa Ghulam Sayadayan, right? That's it. When did it become mainstream? George Bush said it, September 17th, 2001. That is when George Bush personally and the White House declared Islam is a religion of peace. And now you know when it began. And that's it. It's the cover story. Prior to what you think you know, Islam was a warrior faction saying, we're going to kill you and that's it. And it was in the open. You're dead. Just like you see the video clips I show you. It's never been hidden. The deception, which basically led to Obama and stuff, was no, Islam is the religion of peace. It was created in 1967. Later appeared in one book in 1976 or 74. And then the people who memorialized it, made it mainstream, was no other than George Bush and our own White House. Now you know the historical accuracy of that, and every bit of it, psychological warfare. Yeah, and it's another reason to despise Bush. Bullshit, psychological warfare. Bullshit, psychological warfare to destroy America. And that is why when Islam takes 19 girls as slaves and they won't convert, they have them in a cage and they burn them alive, the news doesn't cover it. If you're in Saudi Arabia and you convert from Islam to Christian, what happens? You're executed. Did you know that? You're executed. Pop, motherfucker. Yeah. You're dead. But with that, I want to share with you the beauty of God. Right? I want to share with you the beauty of God before we depart from today's program. Right? I want to give you a few good things in your head. And I'll do FAFO as well for you. I know you guys love it. But before we go to that one on the way out, I want you to share this program because I'm just going to go to the out once this one's over. I want it to stand on its own. It comments on itself. I appreciate all of you being here today. I appreciate the questions. I hope you learned some things or maybe found some things interesting. This last one, I'm going to warn you, is going to bring you to tears. That's why I'm not going to be back on screen. But I'm going to play it for you, and then we'll, on our way out, FAFO, share this program. I love you all.
With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with a septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Now you're gone!